For the first 10 years of his professional basketball journey, Andre Ingram bounced around through various teams in the G League. Going undrafted in the 2007 draft, the chances of Ingram making an NBA roster was very slim to begin with, especially since he didn't stand out in college, despite leading his team in scoring for all 4 years. But what did stand out was his shooting ability, and that's what got him here. How's it going, ladies and gents? My name's Andy, and today we're going to take a look at the story of Andre Ingram, the NBA player who spent over 10 years in the G League before finally getting called up and played his first ever NBA game with the Los Angeles Lakers. To start things off, Ingram grew up in Richmond, Virginia. In his senior year of high school, he averaged 23 points and 9 assists per game and shot 49% from 3. High school was one of the earliest signs that Ingram had potential as a shooter, and eventually he found himself attending American University. In his 4 years at AU, he continued his amazing display of shooting, averaging 39% from three-point land on nearly 6 attempts per game. Nearly half of his shots came from beyond the arc, and his ability to knock down threes was going to be his calling card when he goes pro. So Ingram graduated with a degree in physics, and he would actually become a physics and calculus tutor on the side, while chasing his NBA career. But as I mentioned earlier, he went undrafted in 2007, and he made his way to the G League, or D League as it was called back then. And this is where he would spend his next 10 years, playing on a minimum wage salary, making roughly $20K a year, traveling hundreds of miles by bus to play in empty arenas, and trying to support his wife and daughter. He even took a year off of playing basketball to take care of his newborn daughter, which was in 2012. Afterwards, Ingram returned to the court and he continued to remain in the G League. He probably could have made more money if he played overseas, which he actually did when he had a brief stint in Australia. But he needed to take care of his family, so it wasn't plausible for him to be thousands of miles away from them. In his 10 years in the league, he spent most of his time playing for the Utah Flash and Los Angeles Defenders, and he also holds several records. He's second all-time in games played in the G League and first all-time in three-pointers made. Before getting called up to the NBA, Ingram played a total of 418 games and made 713 three-pointers on 46% shooting, regular season and playoffs combined. And on April 9th, his time finally came. Ingram was notified to attend a meeting, and shockingly, he saw Magic Johnson sitting there in the room. He didn't know what was going on until he was told the Lakers called him up for the final 2 games of the 2018 season. This was an amazing moment for Ingram, as he signed a 2-day, $14,000 contract. He immediately called his wife, and she was screaming with excitement. This video of Ingram went viral, and he got a lot of recognition and exposure, which he deserved. Playing for the Lakers kinda helps too. Over a decade of chasing his dream and having it fulfilled is incredible. His former college coach found out and said it couldn't have happened to a better person. I don't think I could adequately describe what a quality human being Andre Ingram is and has been, going back to when we were recruiting him when he was a high school kid in Richmond, Virginia. When Ingram was asked what kind of player he was and what he could provide for an NBA team, he said, "If I get some daylight, I'm going to let it go. But if there's too hard of a closeout, I have the ability to make something out of that." And honestly, that was the perfect description of his game. In his NBA debut, that was literally what he was doing, and he did it very well. Ingram's jump shot looks somewhat unorthodox, but he has a very quick release, which helps him get off the shot. I mean, just judging from his first game, it's really surprising. We see players dominate in the G League all the time, but when they get called up to the NBA, it's a different story. Most of them don't do well. And obviously, I know the sample size on Ingram is very small, but we gotta remember he's been playing professionally for 10 years. He played his first NBA game at 32 years old, and apparently he's the oldest rookie who was born in the United States since 1964. In his debut, he finished with 19 points on 6 of 8 shooting, 4 of 5 on threes, and 3 blocks in 29 minutes. Although it was a meaningless game, it was still a great first game for him, and he even got some MVP chants.
What a wonderful moment for he and his family. Got on the phone. He didn't know why he was being called into the office, and everyone was there, the brass, Magic,
you got Magic and Rob Pelinka in there. I'm thinking,
Anyway, Ingram has a lot of experience playing basketball and off the court as well, how to handle himself as a pro, so in the future I wouldn't be surprised if he finds a stable home in the NBA. The guy already showed that he could light it up from everywhere on the court, but we'll have to see if he can maintain a decent level of consistency. His scouting report from college mentions that he can be a streaky shooter, which is perfectly fine. There's a ton of guys in the NBA like that anyway. Even if his role is to just come off screens, knock down some threes at a good percentage, and play hard on defense, that's enough to give yourself a chance. Anyway, that sums up the story of Andre Ingram. In my opinion, he's had a very heartwarming story, and it's a completely different path than most players we talk about. I can't help but root for him. I definitely wish him the best. His story is just beginning. That's all, folks. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.